Okay, this is a quick video to show you how to put a search feature into a MySQL database. I've already got the database set up. I've already put some information in. If we go to MAMP, go to the website. On the website, if you go to PHP I'm using the combined database. In the combined database, I have three tables. One of them is users, students, and messages. Once the user logs on, they put in a username, they put in a password, they're directed to a site called Students, and then they input all of this information, right? So the first name, last name, date of birth, gender, so on and so forth. So they input all that information. Now I've gone through and I've put in 4 different people in here already. You can see I tried to make them similar so that when we do a search we can see the search. There's 2 people whose first name's Nick, there's 2 people whose last name's Smith, there's a May, there's John, Joan and Jones, so that they're similar to show how the searches work. There's 3 males and 1 female. So when we do a search, you'll see some of these results come up. So that's the information I've already put into the database so that when we do the search function, you can see that the search is actually working. Now, to do the search function, I've got 2 files. One of them is called Filter1.php and the next one is called Filter4.php. Now, Filter1 is a simple PHP page that has a little search box that says the word search. Its action is once you click the submit button, it's going to send the information from here, from this file, to Filter4.php. The method is get, so that once the person actually inputs something into this box, it'll get that information and it'll send it over to this second page. Now, on the second page, the HTML, the heading, the title, all that sort of stuff, you know what that is. This is the PHP section. So we make a new variable, we call it query, and it gets the information from the search. So no matter what the person did a search for, it is stored in this little search here, which is then in turn stored into this variable. Down here, the variable is used again, and it just checks to make sure that the right characters are being used, and that if it has to convert any of the web characters, it can do that. It does it for you automatically so that the person doesn't have to write exactly the way that the database is expecting to see it. It'll convert it for you. Then we go down here and it makes you a table, and it gives you a 1 pixel black table, and it puts these headings in. Now obviously you're going to change these headings according to what you're searching for. You could have 20 headings, you can have 10 headings, you can have 1 heading if you want. You need to change the number of headings that you're going to have in here. Alright, this class down here, what this actually does is, once the search has been done on the database, it'll create the amount of width and depth of the table based on the results of the search. So for example, if you do a search and 5 people's names come up, then there'll be 5 rows. If you do a search and there's 10 columns come up, then there'll be 10 columns, right? So depending on the quality of the search, this makes how big the table's going to be, whether it's going to be tall or high or whatever. Right, so now here we have the logon details for the server. We've used these before, you know how these work. They come from your config file, and you can see here localhost root, and then the database we're using is the combined database. So I've just done database name equals combined. Right, now in here, rather than do a connection directly, we do a try, which means try and do this connection, try and attach to the database. If you attach to the database, then we want you to do this query. Now this query, this is the key to the whole thing, and this is where you're going to get your marks for the IB. So we're doing a select everything from the students table where, and I've done specifically here, the first name sounds like something that the query that the person put in. So if the person put in the word Nick, then if the first name is like Nick, then it'll return a result. Or if the family name is like Nick, it'll return a result. Or if you did May, so if they did the word May, when you get to first name, it's not going to return anything, but when it gets to family name, there is something in there like May, so it'll return those results. Now, I've chosen to do select everything. You don't have to do that. You can select specific things to show up on the screen. So for example, in this comment down here, I've written, instead of selecting everything from students, you could select first name, family name. You could select very specific things rather than selecting this star here for everything. You could be selecting the first name and family name only, right? And I've written that as a comment, so you should be able to work that out. We can go through that tomorrow. So rather than having select everything from students, you could have select the first name only from students, or select the gender only from students, depending on what you want. In here, these are the columns that you're telling it to search through. So you're saying search through the first name column and search through the family name column. If you want the search from the user to search more columns, you just keep adding ors. So or the gender, or the, I don't know, date of birth. So if you want to filter it differently with looking through different columns of the database, then you just keep adding ors and keep adding to this query in here. Okay, once the query is done, it fetches the results. That's what this section is down here. It fetches the results and it says, okay, we've got the results. Go up to the table rows, which is this class up here, and build the right amount of table rows according to the results that we've got. If it doesn't work, print out an error, and then disconnect from the server. So that's what the connection equals null, disconnect from the server. So that's the way that that's going to work. Now let's have a look at it in action. So we're going to go to the website, we go to MAMP, we go up to my website. Now I've put it into the htdocs folder. If we go into this, I've put it here. Now remember, this is the combined files, but this is just the search function, the two files that I've just created. So here they are here. So if we hit Filter1, click on that, here's my little search bar. So it's just got search, got a placeholder in there, says search, search. Now, if I do a search for May, hit search, my results come up and say, all right, the user ID is 2, the profile ID is number 4, first name's Nick, family name's May, and it came up with one person. Right, what happens if I do a search for Nick? Because I know that I put 2 into the database as Nick. 2 different results came up, okay? So there's Nick May and there's Nick Jones, and they're both male, blah, 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 blah. All right, what happens if we put the name John? Right, we've got one John, but I'm sure there's a husband and wife named Smith. So instead of doing a John search, I'm going to do a Smith search. So I do a Smith search and you can see both of them come up here. Now remember, on this table, I'm only searching in first name and family name. I'm not doing a gender search. I'm not doing any of these other columns. This is just to show you how it'll lay out. But essentially, we're doing a search in these 2 columns. So how do you get this working? What you need to do is you need to have this little search function embedded into one of your web pages. Wherever you have a page that you want to have a search on, you need to embed that in. Just that little form section there, you need to put that into the HTML somewhere on your page. Then, if the search is done and the submit button is clicked, it needs to jump to Filter4, which is this PHP page. Now, the PHP page, you don't want just a white page coming up like this with a table on, so you need to embed this into some HTML as well. Now I've already put it inside the body, inside the HTML, so you can embed that into an HTML page and make sure that it looks the way you want it to. In terms of the actual look and the feel, you can change the borders here, the width of the whole. These are how wide each cell is. This is how thick the border is. It's a black border. Those sorts of things you can edit, change, tweak it the way you want. Like I said, if you only want to search down here for, say, only first name and only family name, you could change the table here so that the table only presents the results of first name or last name. Right, so that's the working files. That's the way the search works. I'll put them on the classroom so you can go on and get those 2 files. The idea is that you embed them into your working database program already. You need to reference these files if you use them as part of your IB. You need to make sure you reference where you got them from. You need to go through and re-comment all the way through to show your understanding of the comments. And if you've got any questions, just email me and let me know.